Okay. We are live. Let me bring this in. And we're gonna be live in a little. This is sausage getting made. We're not recording yet, but Rebecca, can I have you turn your camera sideways for me?
Better?
There you go. And let me do one more thing on my side here. And now the flag is set up the correct way. All right. Tony, I want to show you as you're going to be solo on the screen. And I gotta change that.
What's wrong? You don't like my background of the disco floor from 1970?
No. I've got to
dancing. Dance machine.
You got
Gotta get
dancing.
I gotta change the doggone it. There we go. Why is that funky like that? Give me a second.
Because it's the 70s. Everything funky, baby.
Don't do me like that, Paul. Don't do me
Tony's
like
fault. It's all Tony's fault.
There we go.
that. 70s Saturday night.
All right. Tony, right out of Studio 57. There we go. Rebecca, this is how you're going to look when you're solo on the screen.
Okie dokie.
Damn.
And is it okay if I have 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control underneath you, or do you want Representative District 50-something out of Kansas?
59, baby.
Yeah, you probably ought to do the Kansas House Rep District 59.
Got it. Give me just a second here.
The queen of District 59. Put that down there.
Yes. What did my boy say? The president of Kansas or whatever?
Nice.
They don't care. They don't care.
Yeah. Hey, Mom. It's all well and all that you won, but are there any more Hot Pockets in the fridge?
Yeah, pretty much. I was getting text messages on the house floor, and they were like, we need cereal. I'm like, okay, you know where the store is?
Nice.
All right.
Yeah.
And let me take that down. Otherwise, when I hit this button, it's going to show Mike as Kansas Rep District 59 with the name of Rebecca. But, Mike, Arms Room Radio okay underneath your name?
Yep, that's good. And I can identify as a house rep from Kansas if you need me.
Well, you can't identify as a Rebecca. We actually passed a law about that. So.
No, not as a Rebecca.
Yep.
Nice.
All right.
Rebecca reads her text and goes, Nancy Pelosi doesn't have to deal with this kind of thing.
All right. So, Rebecca, when do you get your own personal assistant? Is that you have to become a state senator for that to happen, or?
Well, it depends on what you mean. I have an office assistant, but they're only there. I share it with my office mate, with one other person, but they're only there while we're in session. And so I only have him for 4 months. He's outstanding, phenomenal kid, but he's only there for 4 months.
Okay, well.
That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. It shouldn't be a professional office staff that pretty much runs the place without anybody, you know?
No, but I have things that he could do, like my laundry. You know?
Nice.
I mean, my tax money's paying him. Come on.
Yeah, right? Hey, calm down. I don't like that idea.
Grocery runs, yeah.
Yes. Send him to parent-teacher conferences. It'd be good practice for the kid. For eventually.
There you go.
We don't need that kind of responsibility. As a state worker, I don't want to actually start working, so y'all need to calm down.
So before we start recording this for posterity, but we are live on a whole bunch of different places, so just be aware. When does the Rebecca for President run start?
Yeah, no, I don't think that. I mean, I could get the votes from my district, but I'm pretty well sure I'm not going to be able to get enough to make up for the difference.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I heard somewhere you can do it all from. I think you can do it all from your basement, though. I heard you can do that.
Well, I've heard that that's possible, but I have the wrong letter behind my name for that, so it's unfortunate.
All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and kick this thing off. And let me put logo back on. And recording in 5, 4, 3. Hey everyone, welcome to the weekend edition of The Bullet. This one for May the 13th, 2023. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me this weekend, to my right, you can see Tony Simon, the DiversityShoot.com dude, the pound for pound, the biggest gun bunny in the industry.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, man.
Thank you.
Below Tony, Mike Piwowarski, who's giving him a solid run for the pound for pound biggest gun bunny in the nation title there. Mike is Arms Room Radio. Mike is the Rundown. Mike is all over the place, man. Mike, thanks for coming along.
Yo, Paul, just because of that great intro, I want to remind you of how much hair I have.
Wow.
If I turn my head just right, you can see I do have some hair.
That's right, on your chin. We see it, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And filling out the panel on the bottom, Kansas State Representative from District 59, and by far the best-looking person on the crew tonight, Rebecca Schmoe. Rebecca, thanks for coming back. You were on about a month ago, if I remember right.
I love being here. I love getting to hang out and talk gun stuff with my friends. So thank you for having me back.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right. As we get started, I want to remind everybody, if you're watching on the Polite Society Podcast, Facebook, or YouTube streams, you can comment on those streams, and we'll get your comments up and on the air if you're talking about what we're talking about. If I miss you, I'm sorry. We tend to get a lot of comments in a hurry. I don't get to them all, but I try and keep an eye on them, and I'm going to actually move them to another screen so that I can keep a better track of them as they're closer to what I'm looking at over the other way. I do want to get a few check-ins off of out of the way first as we start off here. The Gun Foodie says, this is a motley crew of greats. Of course, we all know Patrick Collins. Patrick is the Gun Foodie. And he also says, Rebecca, think smarter, not harder. So I think what he's trying to say is not only is Rebecca the best looking one here, she's also the smartest one, I think is where he's going with that. And that could be true. It could easily be true.
I'll go with that. Sure. I mean, I think he's probably going in a different direction, but I'll believe you.
All right. Let's go ahead and get started with the news of the week. I think the biggest news of the week, at least as much as it affects gun rights, a Fourth Circuit federal judge in Virginia ruled on Wednesday that federal laws that require individuals to be at least 21 years old to purchase handguns from FFLs, that law is unconstitutional. The quote from the judge here, because the statutes and regulations in question are not consistent with our nation's history and tradition, they therefore cannot stand. That was Judge Robert E. Payne, who's a George H.W. Bush appointee to the court. And the Fourth Circuit, let me scroll down. I think I still have it in my broadcast software. I do. I'm just going to put a quick map up here so we can show the circuits. The Fourth Circuit is West Virginia, Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina. So if you're 18 to 20 in those in that district, apparently you can now go buy a handgun from an FFL.
Not yet, but almost. Not yet, but almost.
Okay, Mike, I'm going to let you go with this because you are better informed than me, apparently.
Yeah, I think the judge put a date on it of May 18th to give the opposite side the opportunity to rebut it to see if they want to let it go into full strength or not. So right now, it's as it stands. If there's no rebuttal to it, I believe it's May 18th, might be the 19th.
So about a week.
That'll go into effect. But for there's still about a week left on it that the opposition has the opportunity to contest it and for it to not go into strength.
Okay, you read deeper than I did. So, Rebecca or Tony, you want to? I mean, my opinion is well known. If you're above the age of, I've said in the past, and I still am not convinced I should change it. If you're above the age of 16, you ought to be able to go and cash and carry anything you want as long as you're not a felon.
Well, in the state of Kansas, we passed a law a couple of years ago that 18 to 20-year-olds could carry concealed, but they do have to ask the government's permission. You do have to go through the standard course for concealed carry. You do have to send in your paperwork and get fingerprinted and all of that. This kind of takes it a step further, and I like it. If you are 18, you are considered an adult, and you should be able to do adult things. If you are voting on your rights, and if you are able to practice responsibilities as far as joining the military, living on your own, signing contracts, then you should have full access to all your rights. The fact that we had this subsection of adults that couldn't participate in their rights was an atrocious thing anyway. So it's as far as I'm concerned, this is long overdue, and we need this nationwide.
Yeah, I'm looking at this as somebody that joined the military at 17 years old. All right, I joined the military at 17. You look around and you see guys and ladies that come in. They marry their high school sweetheart because they're going to live the dream. They come from a place where they never had a paycheck before, and now they're getting one. And the military is going to provide housing, or so they think. And then they found out they have to live off base housing, usually in a crappy neighborhood. And then almost immediately, the significant other gets deployed. Now you have your little girl, your daughter, who's 18, 19 years old. She's probably pregnant, having a kid, outside the base, in a bad neighborhood. And her husband, who's also the same age, is deployed fighting for the country, or even just deployed overseas. And, oh yeah, she can't protect herself because somehow adulthood comes in steps when it comes to the Second Amendment. It's bullcrap. If I can go to college and owe money for a really long time with college debt, if I can sign a contract and join the military and go overseas, there's no steps. There's no steps. Freedom is dangerous. And you learn responsibilities as you get older. Oh, well, kids are going to make stupid mistakes with guns. Kids make stupid mistakes with their credit card. They're going to make stupid mistakes with everything. So, sorry, but freedom is dangerous, and you learn lessons. And it's just that simple.
I'm gonna step in and be the smart aleck here. I'm gonna say if you're that one special subset of the military, meaning a Marine, when you get married, it's to a stripper anyway. So.
Listen, Candy loves me, and I don't know why you sounding all judgmental.
All right. And when we originally did this is a story from, I believe, Thursday, and Amanda Sufcool and I talked about it. And when I was researching that day, I found an interesting comment that I absolutely loved. I don't have it in front of me right now, but my memory from that comment is the Constitution did set up some age limits inside the Constitution itself. You had to be 25 to run for the House of Representatives, the U.S. House. You had to be 30 to run for the U.S. Senate. You had to be 35 to run for president. So there are age restrictions elsewhere in the Constitution. If they wanted them in the Second Amendment, they could have easily put them there.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Yeah, and then Paul, this all comes from, if you go back that far, you're going back, Constitution age, U.S. Code defined militia and the age at 17 and above. Since been amended to 18 and above, with the cutoff age different, but since this country's been around, we've been defining adulthood at basically 17 or 18 years old. Is when that age of consent begins. It's age of contracts, age of age of adulthood, age of military service. Right. It's there. You're either a citizen or you're not. There's no different line in the sand for different things. Now, alcohol's different, and that's another special interest group that turned that age away from 18. But it's 18. And that's what it is. Now, we all know, and we're all above, some of us barely above age 25. We know that the frontal lobe doesn't fully form until you're 25, because we see with decisions, 16 to 18 to 24-year-olds make all the time. But it's about responsibility. And that's what the Second Amendment is. It's the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It does not say with training, with other requirements, with a test for responsibility. It's 18 years old. You're an adult or you're not, and that's the line in the sand on this. And it's time to get on board. This has now come out of Virginia. We've seen this case last year come out of a federal judge out of Texas made the same ruling. We've seen a federal judge out of West Virginia make this ruling a few years back. It's time now. It's in 3 separate federal circuits to get the Supreme Court to take a look at this and say, hey, we've got conflicting opinions at different circuits. It's time to put this before the test, before the Supreme Court, and let them make the final rule on this.
Now, I will say the one in Texas, and I believe the one in West Virginia, but I'm not sure, those were about carry restrictions, not about purchase restrictions.
The Texas, there were 2 cases out of Texas. One was carry, one was Nance versus Texas, which was purchase of pistol from 18 to 20. There is, and here's the flip side of this argument, which just makes it even more confusing. If you're 18 to 20, you could still personally purchase a handgun on a personal sale, just not from a federal firearms license dealer. So if you have the intelligence to buy one not from a dealer, you can. But if you go to buy it from a dealer, you don't have the intelligence to carry one or the responsibility. It's just there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's time for the Supreme Court to set this one down.
No, actually, I get it now. Warranties are dangerous. That's what they want. Don't buy it from a dealer. You have to buy it secondhand. So if you want a warranty, buy a High Point. Other than that, everything else is going to be used and have no warranty. Sorry.
You and your High Point.
Gun Foodie says John Quincy Adams, I was not aware of this, was the first official U.S. representative to Russia at the age of 14. Of course, he did go on to do other things, but let's get one more in here. Spartan 6 says there is no age restriction on any of the other rights in the Bill of Rights, not for speech, religion, etc. That's exactly true. That is 100% true. Next story that caught my attention, this one actually just got hit yesterday. This is a Stephen Gutkowski story off the Reload. Former President Donald Trump defended his decision to unilaterally ban bump stocks, which he called very unimportant, during a CNN interview on CNN Town Hall Wednesday night. The Republican presidential primary frontrunner didn't turn back his support on the ban, which has since been found unconstitutional by 2 federal appeals courts. He said he consulted with the NRA before issuing the order to the ATF to find a way to outlaw the devices. He said the group was supportive of his effort. As you know, the bump stocks are actually a very unimportant thing, Trump said. I think the NRA I went with them as they said it doesn't mean anything, or actually all they do is teach you how to shoot very inaccurately. So we did that. Is it very, very hard to fire a firearm after the first round with a bump stock accurately? You bet your bippy it is. I aged myself with that one. But should that matter? Not in the least. This is an accessory. It's not a gun. So,
let's take a look at the context of it. And I know some people want to take any chance they get to jump on Trump because they don't want to see him have any success or popularity. You remember what happened right prior to this. Okay, first, the president had just been elected. And remember, we'd had the shooting in Las Vegas where 59 people were killed with slide fires or bump stocks. So it was a huge topic of discussion. You had the calls, and probably the last time that there was any real danger of it, the calls for the assault weapon ban. This is what President Trump was facing those first weeks in office because of that incident, was facing the assault weapon ban. It was his first real test as the president coming in there, dealing with domestic policy and dealing with firearms. The NRA was under fire, and we know why they're under fire, and we all agree they have to get their house in order, and they've not done so since then. But they were under fire, and he gave them some top cover. All right, he decided that this would be something that he would take on, and he would put this bump stock ban in place. By doing so, and we all remember the round table, they were sitting around, and Nancy Pelosi was there. I remember Trump even made the comment. And then when you watch the greater whole hour of this, it was not the 10-second soundbite where you only hear Donald Trump say, "So let's take the guns and do away with due process and take the guns." That was part of him repeating what somebody else said. It was not him saying, "Let's take due process away." But he signed this executive order getting rid of bump stocks. So by doing so, he took away the cries for an assault weapon ban, which had legs at that point. Okay, 59 people killed via these type of accessory on the firearm. NRA under fire. He gave them that top cover by taking the heat for this, knowing full well. Listen, this guy's about the art of the deal, right? He's not about this decision today and no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. Knowing full well that the judges he was appointing were more than likely going to find this unconstitutional. And we've seen that happen since, all right? This was an accessory. Listen, I don't want to lose any of my accessories, all right? But this was an accessory that less than 1%, or 1/10 of 1% of the people even knew about. So it was no loss. It protected the NRA. It got rid of the calls for the assault weapon ban. And here we are 6 years later with it already being declared unconstitutional. I think the man knew what he was doing and protected the Second Amendment.
I have an issue with the, I have an issue with doing anything with any of the accessories, because when you start singling things out and when you start labeling things as, well, this is an accessory and only so many people use it, and it's not really effective anyway, that sets the tone for what we're seeing with the pistol braces. That sets the tone for them going after other accessories. I don't like that. I do understand the chess game that was being played. I do understand that he was making a calculated move, that if I give them this, then they'll stop there. But we all know that they don't stop there. They don't ever stop there, and that's why we're dealing with the ATF changing their mind on other things now. I don't appreciate it, I don't like it, and I will continue to stand against it. In the state of Kansas, we are actually looking at ways that we can bolster our state constitution to also include things like accessories and ammunition. So you can take this one of two ways. You can either say, okay, well, it was just one thing and not a whole lot of people used it, so, cut our losses. Or you can say, no, not today. We're not having it, and get with your state and start making steps, start taking steps, whether you're backed by the NRA, whether they agree with you or not. There are other organizations out there that are more effective right now. Let's face it, the NRA is just the scapegoat at this point. That's what we're basically using it for, that and instruction. And so I'm fine with it if they want to take the heat. If Trump wants to take the heat, that's fine, but leave my accessories alone.
And I 100% agree with Rebecca. I don't care. I'm tired of people compromising my rights away a little at a time. That's how we got to where we are now. The art of the deal he's making is with my rights. And now, because he did that with the bump stock, well, we have the brace on the chopping block too, because it's just an accessory. Then your freaking handguard is just an accessory. Then when are we going to stop? So no, If features are a bad thing, if features were ridiculous when they proposed it during the assault weapon ban, then features are still ridiculous now, whether it's a bump stock or whether it's a brace. All right, features, accessories, no. He played with our rights. He compromised us, and I'm tired of picking the lesser of two evils when it comes to choosing presidents. So yeah, we're going to have to start local. All politics are local, and we're going to have to change it as grassroots because we can't change the people at the top. That's already selected. We're going to have to do it exactly like Rebecca's doing it. We're going to have to start running for office and supporting those like her, and we're going to have to change it from the bottom. Donald Trump was born and raised a liberal Democrat in New York. And I just love the fact that people are going to forget this dude was like 6 decades old and all of a sudden he became a freaking Republican and everybody somehow drank that bullcrap Kool-Aid. He is not a friend of the Second Amendment. He had the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and they didn't push any pro-gun, but what we lost was the bump stock. So no, dude, you were there for 4 years. I saw your work.
Yeah.
I saw your work. And no.
Good, Tony. Finish. I'm sorry.
Oh, and by the way, yes, I voted for the guy, and I don't like the guy. Didn't like him then. I didn't like him then, but we had Satan or him. It was the two choices. So I voted for the guy that I did not like. I usually vote third party, but I thought this was important enough to make that move. And I was hoping what he said at NRA, and I think in Atlanta, the 8-year attack on your Second Amendment rights are over. I was really hoping he would make that move and be legit. And when he said, well, you know, the bump stocks aren't really that important, I'm like, one, I know the guys from Bump Stock. I know the guys from Slide Fire. I hung out with them for hours at shows. At the Great American Outdoor Show, which is 9 days long, so you're just bored. So I spent an entire Wednesday with them. And great dudes. And I just realized those guys I hung out with don't have a job now because of this. So it affected people. And then you go, I mean, people I met, people I know, people I broke bread with, it affected them. But then it also affects everyone else with that thing you have that you just had fun with at the range because you just blew, you know, however many cents per round because you wanted that and you couldn't figure out how to use your pants belt loop to do the exact same thing. Now you're a felon. And now they're doing that with the brace. And I have braces for different reasons because I have small stature people. I have women that are shooting for the first time or shooters with not a lot of upper body strength. So non-NFA items with shorter barrels and with braces, all of a sudden that is a good compromise to allow them to actually use a rifle cartridge in self-defense. Oh no, you're a felon now. And how many people don't know that because they're not paying attention to this? So who's going to get caught up in it when firefighters come to your house and somebody notices something and tells someone else? Like these laws that we know about because we're gun people, people are going to go to prison that aren't gun people that just bought a thing and thought it was 100% legal because they went through an FFL to buy that thing. It came on the gun. How is it against the law now? How am I a felon? So this all affects somebody else. So I was not impressed by that. NRA has been proven over and over again that they're willing to cut you loose. And that's why I said, local politics, also local 2A. You got to support them because you can go to the meetings yourself. Dude, 80,000 people go to the NRA annual meeting. About 300, if it's a good year, go to the member meeting.
Yeah.
Not only that, about 5,000 vote for leadership. It's great to go to the meeting. It's great to go to the NRA annual meetings, but it's better to vote for leadership. Let me get a couple comments in here quick.
And I want to respond to Paul.
Roderick on the Facebook side says a bump stock ban would have passed the House and Senate, which would have lost a Republican Senate majority. Then no Bruin. So, and that's a fantastic point. This one from Spartan 6. If you give a mouse a cookie, he'll want a glass of milk. If you give a hoplophobe a bump stock ban, they'll want an assault weapons ban. That's
but that's not what happened. But that's not what happened. What happened was they wanted an assault weapon ban, and he gave them a bump stock and then shut the door on them. All right. Otherwise, we'd be sitting here fighting about an assault weapon ban right now. Trump is not the first one to say, okay, let's go ahead and just take this one item. You know, accessories. The fight against accessories started many years ago, and Clinton perfected it with the assault weapon ban in '94. All right, let's not lay this all on President Trump for identifying one item that stopped the assault weapon ban in its tracks is what he did. Do I want my accessories gone? Absolutely not. All right. This guy was the best thing for the Second Amendment that's happened in presidencies in years. Why didn't we get anything else? Why didn't we get the Hearing Protection Act? Why didn't we get national reciprocity? Paul Ryan. All right. That's why you didn't get it, Tony, because he pissed off because Trump had gone at it with Romney and embarrassed Romney, and Ryan was tied to that. All right, and that's why Paul Ryan never did anything for the Second Amendment or for President Trump the entire time he was sitting there in the House. All right, he was the speaker. He was the one that could have put any of those things on the floor at any time. He didn't. You can't put that on the president. All right, the president beat Romney, and Ryan held him to it. I don't want this to. I don't want anything. I don't want any. The only compromise I want is I want half the rights back tomorrow, and the other half my rights back the day after that. That's the compromise I want. But I'm willing to take an accessory, whether it was the most popular accessory in the world everybody knew about or 1/10 of the 1% knew about it. I'm willing to take that piece rather than assault weapon ban.
I don't want them to touch my burrito warmer and launcher because that's an accessory on my AR that is indispensable. Long day at the range, you want that barrel keeps that burrito warm. I want that warm burrito when it's lunchtime, man.
Yeah, we're just going to disagree on this because I'm not compromising anything. I already live in Jersey. I'm done. I'm done compromising on anything. I'm actually done being called law-abiding. I'm a responsible firearms owner. Y'all shown that you can change the law at the drop of a hat at midnight and it doesn't even have to make sense. So, yeah, I'm zero compromise. For me, Trump takes the hit on that. He could have handled it better. He didn't. I don't like Paul Ryan. I don't like any of those. Look, none of these. The only elected official that's my friend is on screen right now. All right, that's the only one. Anybody else, do your job or get fired.
Tony, I'm actually surprised.
Honestly, for me, I got to do my job or get fired too.
Wait a minute. What? Because both of you were speaking.
Rebecca,
I said I got to do my job or get fired too. I mean, that's the deal, man. That's what I signed up for.
And Tony, I was saying, I don't know what compromise you got to with New Jersey, but I'm surprised they let you keep your shirt. They've taken everything else away from you.
Please don't make them take Tony's shirt, please.
We seen from the stickers and the photos. I don't care, man. You can take that shirt. I got my bubbles to keep me warm.
Oh, alrighty then. Let's go ahead and get on to the next one, and I'm going to actually skip. We'll get back to it, but I'm going to skip the next story in show notes. I'm going to go down to the one after that. The next phase of Bruin, SCOTUS could overturn gun safety laws in all 50 states. This off of the Trace, which is obviously not a pro-Second Amendment publication. The tension between the right to life, liberty, and the right to bear arms is reaching its boiling point. We've long known that Bruin was a soothsaying verdict for this court's potentially non-existent limits on the individual's right to bear arms. In a short amount of time, the court may pull the trigger on nixing each state's capacity to limit ownership of assault weapons. What they're talking about is Amy Coney Barrett currently has on her desk, and she's got the arguments from both sides, and we're just waiting on her decision, for the Illinois assault weapon ban.
Right.
And that's actually there's two of them. There's the state one and there's a city one that is sitting on her desk. And we're waiting. I would expected to get this ruling this week. We did not. We'll see what happens this coming week. I would expect that that she recommends that the full court issue an injunction, send it back to the second and say deal with this, or send it back to the seventh, excuse me, say deal with this and deal with it quickly is what I expect.
Yeah, I think they had till yesterday, the opposition had till yesterday to file their paperwork with her to tell her why she shouldn't do something with this. So, yeah, next week we hopefully should hear something back on this, Paul. You got the timelines right there.
I really like in the story where it says potentially non-existent limits.
Yes.
That's my favorite line in the whole thing. Yes, please, let's go.
I find it ridiculous that these people sit around thinking somehow criminals are waiting breathlessly to find out what Amy Coney Barrett has to say about this. Yo, Jojo, yo, hold on that purchase because we don't know what the Supreme Court. Because listen, we got our drive-bys in a holding pattern until we get this decision from the Supreme Court. But as soon as we do, it's on. So I'm just letting you guys know that bump stocks and everything going deep. Just letting you know.
I'm fairly certain by the time, how do I put this? By the end of my working career, I expect everything back to the 1934 legislation that took away, where you had to buy the stamp for your short-barreled rifle, short-barreled shotgun, for your, you had to buy the stamp for a suppressor. I expect all of that, all the legislation from 1934 on to be declared one way or another unconstitutional. And
Let's go.
I figure I got 20 years left of my working life. Let's see if my crystal ball's cracked or not.
Yeah. Well, I hope that crystal ball, when it cracks open, and we have the rules from the 1930s, I hope we have the number of mass shootings we had in the 1930s. But guess what's going to happen for that? America may have to go back to the values, family values that we had at that time, because that might be the problem. I'm just saying,
It might be.
when you can order a belt-fed, water-cooled machine gun from the Sears Roebuck catalog and have it dropped off at your house.
I want to get the Sears Roebuck catalog.
Nice. I'm just saying, dude, you can get stuff like that from Bannerman's back in the day.
Yeah,
and no one would be the wiser, and we didn't have these issues. So it might not be the firearm that's a problem in America, but then you would have to actually try to fix that. In no one party and no one election cycle this could be solved in, so that no one could get the credit for that. They're not really trying to stop these things from happening. They're using these things from happening for their overall goal of civilian disarmament. They don't care how many school children get. That's why they keep asking you how many need to die, just so they can pencil it in. I'm just letting you know, it's never about safety. It's always about control.
On safety, now that Tony, you said safety, and the title of this article talks about gun safety laws. Just before anybody misconstrues, I want to make sure, and I know all four of us here agree about this. It's not about the gun safety that you think it is. We're all for gun safety. We're all for securing our firearms when they're not in use. We're all for making sure the wrong people don't get their hands on firearms. We're all for gun safety. Their terminology for gun safety is an assault weapon ban is gun safety. A magazine limit ban is gun safety. Hollow points in New Jersey, that's gun safety. Those are the gun safety laws that they're talking about getting rid of. We're not getting rid of anything, listen, whether you want to or not, that says don't be safe with your firearms. Make sure you secure them when you have them. That's not in the Second Amendment. I actually don't have a problem if they go away because it's all about personal responsibility. I don't need a law to tell me to be personally responsible. That's what we do as people with values, like Tony just said.
Well, in Kansas this year, I helped walk through a bill about teaching kids gun safety in the classroom, right? So in Kansas, you can already do that, but there's no standard to it. So anybody can call anything a gun safety class.
Right.
And so what we were trying to do is get the stop, don't touch, run away, tell a grown up for young kids, and then have our state parks department come in with hunter safety for the older kids. And we were just setting a standard and saying, listen, you can use pre-provided material, you can make your own material, whatever, but this will be the standard that we're going to teach kids because everybody wants kids to be safe. Everybody wants a kid to be able to come up on an unattended firearm and know, hey, I shouldn't mess with that. I need to go get someone who is more responsible than myself. Or they can look around the room and say, oh, that person is not being safe. I learned what being safe looks like, and they're not being safe, so I'm going to remove myself from the situation. And so we tried to get that passed, and it passed the House and the Senate and went to the governor, and the governor vetoed it. She is a red shirt wearing Mom's Demand Action governor. She stands on our Capitol steps and talks about gun safety, and she vetoed the bill that we were trying to standardize what safety really looks like. And then it was kicked back to us for veto override, and we actually had a few Republicans, but one specific Republican on the House side that had promised leadership and that had previously voted for it. He said that he was going to, and then he did not. He took a hard stance. He didn't warn anybody ahead of time. He walked up to the podium, and announced that he was, in fact, that he had lied to leadership and that he was not going to vote for the bill, and then he followed through with that, and we lost the veto override. So we can still teach gun safety, but it's a free-for-all, and we have, as you know, there's a lot of schools out there, and there are some great teachers, there are some great staff, and then there are those that push their agenda, and so they can continue to teach fear instead of respect for the tool. And unfortunately, Kansas is not the only one. If we're going to talk about gun safety, if they're going to continue to publish things talking about gun safety, then we should probably actually be talking about what has been proven effective as safe. And the bans and the fear-mongering obviously are not effective. The devaluing of human life has not been effective. If we can ever get back to a place where we are not training children, entire generations of kids, to celebrate the slaughter of their potential peers, that would be fantastic. That's a good place to start.
I want to get to a couple comments here quick. Mark Hookham, and I've trained with Mark. Mark is a stand-up great guy. He says, Minnesota's ready to pass red flag and universal background checks. Please sign up for Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. I'll absolutely agree with Mark there. If you're going to, and I'm going to expand this out nationwide, if you're going to affect politics and stop the spread of bad gun laws, there's two ways you're going to accomplish that. Number one, you have to be a member of a pro-rights group, several of them actually. You need to be, I will always say you need to be a member of the Second Amendment Foundation, saf.org/join, but you also need to be a member of your local state group. Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, I know the people that run that, fantastic people. And if anybody is going to put a halt to this, it'll be them. Even if they don't put a halt to it, they need your name there when they do go to the legislators and say, look, last year we had 5,600 members. This year we've got 56,000 members. And that doesn't matter if you're from Florida and you join Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, you're a number. If you're from New Jersey and you join Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, you're a number. And that the same thing goes for if you want to help out people, if you live like me in a free state and you want to help out people in Minnesota, you want to help out people in New Jersey, sign up for those state organizations. New Jersey Second Amendment Society, several other organizations in New Jersey are trying to help. New Jersey Association of Rifle and Pistol Clubs. A lot of good, a lot of good stuff going on and a lot of good organizations in New Jersey. So definitely I wholeheartedly endorse Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus and NJ2AS. Absolutely straightforward here. NJ2AS used to be a sponsor of the Second Amendment Foundation's Polite Society podcast. So I want to get that out there. To start.
Well, we got CNJFO, who I've worked with since the very beginning. ANJRPC, who I volunteer for every year on Family Day, and they've made a difference. And then some guy named, what's his name? Rubian.
Yeah.
Rubian. No.
Alexander's spoken at GRPC. Unfortunately, the guy's weird. He's a vegan or vegetarian or something. So we had to make, we always have to plan for him to be around.
still killed a deer.
He did.
It was really great. It was really great. We were at NRA in Indianapolis, and a bunch of us from Jersey got together because that's what people seem to want to do. They can't wait till we get away from Jersey to call me up and try to have dinner with me somewhere. I'm like, we live like 30 minutes away. We could do that. Okay, whatever. So the guys called us all around. They were like, hey, group text. Hey, we're going to go eat dinner. It's going to be great. Alexander said, where are we going? We found this great steakhouse. I was like, and we had a great meal. Alexander didn't come, though. I don't know why.
I want to get this one in from C&T Designs and Arms. I'm all for living in a world so safe I can leave my belt bed on the porch while I'm at work and no one will ever get hurt with it. Yeah.
I like this guy.
Yeah, I tell you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leave that belt bed on the porch and I'm around. You're going to find it's been swiveling all over the place. Those those things are fun.
Yeah, we're gonna
It's like, I hope you didn't have it set up a specific way, dude, because I kind of changed all that.
I want to get...
Belt beds are great, especially when you don't have to carry them.
Yes.
Ask me how I know.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh, hey, you're a big guy. You can carry the 60.
Spartan 6
Yeah,
says...
and I gave my age away, too. Yes, we had the M60 E3 when I was in. There's a whole entire 2 generations of guys who went, what the hell is that?
These days it would take a crew of 3 just to carry that thing. Spartan 6 says, my high school principal bought his shotgun to school one day to show it off before going turkey hunting that afternoon. He was so proud of it, and no one thought twice about it. Spartan, that had to be back in the 80s or before. Had to be. So
You know what happened in my school, my high school, on the first day of deer season? I'm pretty much the only person to know because I was the only one that was there because everybody else went hunting. That's the kind of community I came from. It's like...
It's a holiday. Come on, guys.
Is today Saturday? It was me and the one Amish girl. I mean, that was it. All day.
No, she wouldn't have been there. She'd have been cleaning the deer. Sorry. No, that's a no.
I know. I'm not really true.
You and half the teachers.
No, I was alone and I made up the Amish girl.
Say it sounds like a new podcast. Tony the Amish.
Oh, what that sounds like is a sitcom, man. You need to get in touch with Netflix and Amazon and sell that to their entertainment departments, man.
Oh yeah, that would be a great reality show.
Next story we got this out of Vermont. This week, Vermont's Governor Phil Scott, a Republican, signed this bill into law. This is 4071, paramilitary training prohibited. A person shall not teach, train, or demonstrate to any person the use, application, or making of a firearm, explosive, or other incendiary device capable of causing injury or death, or techniques capable of causing injury or death to persons if the person knows or reasonably should know that teaching, training, or demonstrating is intended to be used in or in the furtherance of a civil disorder or assemble. Anyway, this basically is going to put an end to public ranges in Vermont, and because how are you going? 1 week from tomorrow, I'm just putting this out there publicly. 1 week from tomorrow, I'm doing something I do usually twice a year. It curtailed a little bit after my stroke, but I'm 99.9% recovered. I'm as recovered as I'm going to get, and I've been told I'm safe by people who should know. So we're going back to it. 1 week from tomorrow, Susan and I are hosting a public range day at a local range. What it is I've got a little bit of a voice. I get out there a little bit. We pick a range, and anybody that knows us locally, come out. All of our friends come out. We bring all kinds of guns, all kinds of ammo. Come out, shoot. It's somewhat like Tony's. Tony's a second is for everybody. Everyone shoots. Just come out, enjoy the day. Enjoy shooting, camaraderie, and getting people familiar with firearms. How in the world am I supposed to know what this other person's going to be doing 20 years down the road? Today, they're a safe individual. 20 years down the road, yeah, I don't know.
I'm looking at this as this is unconstitutional off the bat, and not even because of the other reasons. It's vague and left up to way too much interpretation. So I'm like, no, this can't pass that muster. Forget Bruin, forget anything else. I don't even like. I started laughing as I read it. I mean, it almost says like anything we figure out is bad, regardless of when we figure it out. It's bad because we said so. Yeah, that's what's the guy's name from Parks and Rec? It's like, do you have Ron Burgundy? No, not Ron Burgundy. Ron Swanson.
Yeah,
I have a permit. Well, yeah, I have a permit. It says I can do what I want. That's what this law is. I can do what I want. It's very vague. It means nothing.
It reminds me of going back to the when they were trying to ban pornography, and one of the people in the Senate was asked, "What is pornography?" He goes, "Well, I don't know, but I can tell you if I see it." That's what this sounds like to me.
That was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court who said that, by the way. It said that we can't define it, but I can tell you when I see it. This law sounds like it might have had its roots in good intent. Like, remember this came about during Antifa times, BLM times, when we started to see organization with them. With people gathering with firearms for the wrong reasons, not for education or for safety. It almost sounds like they wanted to ban the American Nazi Party from going to the range and running drills. But as Tony pointed out, it went nowhere in direction. It ended up the most vague law in the world. So Paul, you or Tony couldn't even hold one of your shoots there, because if you're showing somebody else how to safely fire a gun, that's paramilitary training now. You can't do that. I'd like to think that, it might have started out with good intent and just went off the rails completely, and it's a horrible law now.
Well, coming from being somebody that reads these all the time and has to make decisions, and we go through hearings and voting on them and things like that, we talk ad nauseum over unintended consequences, right? And so every bill you have to look at, and you have to determine what unintended consequences there may be. The thing that strikes me with this particular wording in this bill is that I don't think it's unintended. And the reason why I say that is because all of the people who, for years, for most of our involvement in the Second Amendment protection world, most of the people that say, well, the second doesn't apply to individuals. It applies to the militia, the militia, the militia, the militia. This is what this bill is discussing. This bill is talking about regular, everyday citizens who are training up other regular, everyday citizens to be able to defend themselves and their property and do what is necessary when a government oversteps. That is a constitutional right. It is outlined in the Constitution that we get to do that. And the fact that there is a bill that is now going against all of these years of, well, the second only applies to the militia, but now we're going to take away the militia.
That's exactly right.
Oh, that hits me hard. And this bill is absolute trash. And the faster that it gets struck down, the better. Because other states are going to pick up on this, and they will tweak the wording. And that is terrifying, because I don't like where this is headed.
Yeah, I'm surprised New Jersey hasn't passed this law yet.
Yeah, right?
It didn't come out of New York. Remember, everything that filters out of New York runs into Phil Murphy's empty-ass head and then pops out of his mouth. So once it gets there, because it is, where is it, Vermont? It's going to roll downhill,
Yes.
Literally. Because that's how the country
through New York, through Bernie Sanders, down to you. There you go. That's how it'll work.
Yeah. So we'll get it, and it'll be reworded like by a couple of letters or something. But it all supposedly started from a scary guy that built 2 ranges on his 30 acres, and somebody knew someone, and it just grew from there. But I'm thinking that's just an excuse to do exactly what they wanted, and oh well, you don't want that crazy guy to train people. Again, freedom is dangerous, and I've trained with law enforcement.
Yeah,
they could use some help in training themselves. So I'm just saying, civilians take it a lot more seriously, a lot more safe, because they're paying for this out of their pocket. They're using their weekend. It's not during the week. They're not getting paid to have fun with their buddies. So I'm with Rebecca on this. This was 100% intentional. And if it already passed. He signed it. Now it needs to be crushed. It needs to be ground out ruthlessly, and let them know, there is no win with this one.
Yep.
Well, it makes sense now, Tony. Now that you say it was directed at someone and somebody, from doing, they were trying to stop an individual that they knew from doing certain things. Yeah, that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense now.
I want to get a comment in from this beautiful lady I know, Susan Lathrop. She says, summer coming up from Omaha for the range day. By the way, that from where the range is to Omaha, if you're driving a big truck, is about 2 hours, 45 minutes. In a car, a little less than that, depending on how heavy your right foot is, but it's at least a couple hours. Again, unless you're driving a brand new Corvette that is $80,000 and will break the speed of light. But anyway,
responsibly.
Mark Hookham, and by the way, he has been there, says, I need to do that shoot. It's always a blast. Mark, I know it's short notice. I hope to see you there. He's been to them before. For him, it's about a 4-hour drive, a little longer. So, let me get, where are we at here? CNT, I want to get a couple comments in. CNT Designs and Arms says, darn it, I had the uniforms all picked out and everything. and
cool logos.
Yeah, exactly. And then this guy, Simon Says Train, who's, might be here, says, Star Wars Stormtrooper uniforms only. All right. And one more from CNT going up a little bit here. Says, have to be able to field strip an AK before you can go into the first grade. I still wouldn't make it to the first grade, man. I
remember first grade. That was the 3 best years of elementary school was first grade.
Tony had it made. He used to drive to middle school.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, they had nap time in first grade. I didn't get nap time again until I started working for the state.
Oh, ouch. All right. I got one more story. We got 8 minutes left. I got one more story I want to get to here quick. A woke San Francisco lawmaker has been slammed after pushing for legislation to ban store security guards from drawing their gun after a trans shoplifter was killed. Dean Peterson, who is an attorney and a member of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, caused a stir as he spoke about the death of unarmed Banco Brown, 24, who was shot by a Walgreens security guard, Michael Earl Wayne Anthony. A murder charge against him was dropped after the city's DA ruled the killing was self-defense because Anthony feared being stabbed because the guy had a knife. He wasn't unarmed. He had a knife. Preston said today at the Board of Supervisors, I'll be calling for legislation to specifically prohibit security guards from drawing their weapons to protect property. Again, he wasn't. He was protecting his life. And the guy in the comments on Twitter just got absolutely destroyed. One person specifically said this is basically an incitement to robbery. And another said in San Francisco they're called insecurity guards now. While another chimed in, there won't be any businesses left in San Francisco to rob soon. This is wokeism to the extreme. I'm going to leave it open. Any of the three of you.
Security guards don't pull guns to protect property. Okay, it's just like you said. They're retelling the story here, right? You don't pull your gun to protect property. They're trying to pass that law like that's what happened here. You don't protect your guns to protect personal property. Now you're in your home. You're protecting yourself, right? That's when you pull your gun inside your home. If somebody. I'm just using the example. The bad guys in my house carrying the TV. It's all. You're allowed to use your firearm. You're inside your home. It's your castle defense. Your self-defense. But security guards nowhere that I know of are taught to protect property. Law enforcement nowhere is taught to protect property with deadly force. That's surely going to get you in jail, quicker than anything else. You don't use deadly force to protect property.
These people. I was going to wait for Rebecca to say something because she's much more intelligent than me, and everything she says will be much more well thought out. But no. So I'm going to say something stupid. My issue is this. A lot of people maybe not old enough or maybe don't know what they're looking at when they see certain things. We have a problem going on right now in a lot of major cities that they are not convicting people for stealing and shoplifting. And what's happening is large stores are closing up and leaving. People are losing their jobs. They're losing opportunities. Now you have anchor stores that are gone, like Walmart and the bigger stores. So once those stores go, the other stores close. Now you have a strip mall, a shopping center with very few stores in it, and that's what happens. It becomes an eyesore. Other things happen to it, and jobs leave. All right, we live in Jersey. I live in Jersey, and a lot of people don't understand that we had riots here in the late 60s during the Civil Rights Movement. We had riots in Plainfield. We had riots in Newark. And what happened is sections of those cities were destroyed, and it took almost a half a century for businesses to come back, and they still aren't where they were in the late 60s. You're allowing this to happen in your cities and in your states. It's going to affect you for a really long time. Those companies don't want to come and risk their personnel and losing their money. Oh, they have insurance is the dumbest thing I ever heard by people that never had a job or never owned anything that they had to pay insurance on. Yeah. So this is a whole nother thing that will make your cities suffer for a really long time and affect your society. And this is just some guy pandering to a transgendered person, which has no freaking point of that even being in this story. It was an armed person that tried to stab a security guard while they were stealing something. The transgendered thing is pandering and divisiveness at its best.
Rebecca, you're the only one that hasn't commented on this one yet.
Yeah, so what I'm getting from this is you don't get to protect yourself in these establishments, and they're going to provide security guard for you to protect you, except for they're not going to protect you. And even when they protect themselves, they don't get to do that. So we're going to take away their method to protect themselves. So not only can you not protect you, but they're not going to protect you, and they can't protect themselves, so why would they show up for work in the first place? So we're losing out on self-protection, we're losing out on supplied protection, and then those people, why would anybody be a security guard? You cannot pay them enough to be a security guard if they cannot even protect themselves from being stabbed. This is egregious, and it seems really cut and dry for those of us here. For anybody that's watching, anybody that's a viewer, all of these things seem like a no-brainer. And yet we have these things happening. And so obviously all of us need to get out and start having these really frank conversations with other people, get out of the echo chamber, get out of our comfort zone, and just start asking questions like, well, if you were in this state and you were working as a security guard, why would you show up for work the next day if they pass this? What's in it for you? Do they pay you enough to do that? And start actually having those conversations where it becomes real to people who aren't in the gun community. And so they can start looking at it and making those decisions for themselves, working their way through the problem for themselves, because we can tell them all day long, but they only listen to a certain point. So when they start understanding it, when they start drawing their own conclusions, and it starts to sound like ours, it's because they're actually putting the thought into it that all of us have done this for years. we've already set the foundation for us. We need to start showing them the building blocks to set their own foundations. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. I want to get a comment in. We got to start shutting the show down here because I need to let each of you have time to talk. But I want to get this comment in here fast. Clovertack, who joined us late, said, "Hey Paul, hey Paul, hey Mike, hey to that very sexy thing on the screen, and oh hey Rebecca."
I knew where he was going with that.
It's the life of a gun bunny, man. No respect. I'm more than just attractive. I'm also attractive. Oh yeah, I'm also funny. There you go.
The personality.
Yeah, I have a great personality, i.e. code for being really fat. It's just the way the math works.
I also have a good personality, so watch yourself, man.
Nope. Don't co-sign on that at all. You ain't getting me killed.
All right. Guys, we got to start shutting this down. I'm going to start with Tony. Tony, diversityshoot.com, and anything else you want to promote, bud, anything you want to talk about quick.
DiversityShoot.com, that's where we have. You can go check it out. You can see where I'm going to host my events. I was trying to do a Midwest tour. It kind of fell through, but it's only on pause because I've started my 501c3 process. I'm going to become a charity. I need you guys' help, so please donate. Go to DiversityShoot.com. Hit me up on hit me in my DMs. Contact me on Instagram at Simon Says Train. I have PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, whatever. You can actually get on and help me fight this fight in Jersey, which is introducing people to firearms in a safe way, introducing them to 2A advocacy, introducing them to firearms safely, and have a bunch of fun. Again, Simon Says Train on Instagram, Simon Says Train on Facebook. The seconds for everyone on Facebook, and second for everyone on Twitter. Thank you very much.
All right, Mike, you're up next, man. Arms Room Radio, you just got done with a little bit ago. Anything else you want to talk about, man?
Yeah, check out armsroomradio.com, armsroomradio.com. We're on 50 real, actual radio stations around the country. You can hear where we are, or you can listen to us over there on the internets at armsroomradio.com. Saturdays 3 to 5. Is the live time that we're on there, and then of course the rundown during the week at I think that's 6 p.m. Eastern. Now I co-host. Paul, I don't know if you caught this. My co-host changed. I now co-host with congressional candidate for the 6th District U.S. Congress out of California, Craig DeLuz. So I'm actually running to be his vice congressman. So we'll see how that works out.
Are they starting that up now, vice congressman?
It's something I made. I think.
You're wanting to be his personal assistant is what you're gunning for.
I could get his cereal. For him.
All right. Rebecca, anything you want to promote, anything you want to talk about here on our way out?
All right. So anybody can find me. The Second Amendment stuff I do. I work with 1MMAGC, so 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control. I still work with the DC Project, and then you can use my name, Rebecca Schmoe, 1MMAGC, on Facebook, and then I'm just Rebecca Schmoe on Instagram. And then if you're looking for the political stuff, if you're just Kansas curious, I suppose, it's Rebecca Schmoe for Kansas. And really, I want to give a shout out to Craig because I am super excited to see his campaign because that is so important to me. We make real changes by getting involved. It's one thing if we're going to talk amongst ourselves. It's another thing if we're going to go and petition our government. But being actually the one making the decisions, being the one pushing the yes or no button, that makes a huge difference. And I will remind everybody out there that we have local elections all over the nation this summer. If you are running, then good luck to you, and let the gun community know. If you are active in the gun community and you're running for office, we want to support you because we need you. If you are pro-liberty, pro-rights, let us help you as much as we possibly can. And honestly, if you are not somebody who's going to run, find the person that best represents you and ask them how you can help them work on campaigns, go knock doors, get a group of people together that they can talk to. Just do whatever it takes to become the voice where it's making the difference. And so that is my spiel.
Nice.
Very, very cool. I want to mention that Craig DeLuz is my every other Tuesday guy for the Bullet, the weekday edition of the Bullet. He's on every other Tuesday. And, oh, by the way, he's going to be interviewed on the Polite Society podcast, which is our big Monday show. That's coming up on the 29th of this month on, I believe, that is Memorial Day. It is. So on Memorial Day, he's going to be on Polite Society podcast, and we'll be talking to him about his congressional run. That is going to wrap up my broadcasting week for the Second Amendment Foundation. Please do come join me next week, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Central Time, the only time zone that matters, when we'll give you the daily news of what's going on in the Second Amendment. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Podcast listeners, thank you for listening. And we'll see you